Hi, everybody. This is Professor Steve Dooner with one final note on Twelfth Night. I just want you to think about this play and the title Twelfth Night, or What You Will. We've been talking about that. You know, some people think of it as a Christmas play because it was performed on the 12th day of Christmas, interestingly enough. And the story is that it was performed for a group of lawyers, and that's why there are so many letter jokes and law law references in the play. One thing that you might want to think about is all the little funny puns and anagrams in the play. Viola and Volio and Olivia and the word will. They all mean the word will, which means either your sexual desire or you could mean your drive, your willpower. It could also mean your a phallus, male sexual member. All right. And so you want to think about all those things as the story goes on. You also want to think about the word cut, as I said before, because Cesario changes her name from Viola, which means will, to cut, Cesario, which means cut. The character who represents balance in the play is the clown. And we have real extremities in the play, crazy extremities. You know, take a look at this illustration and you'll see the mad extremities in the play. Here you have Sir Toby Belch. I've drawn him sort of as a fat guy here with a big giant stein of beer in sort of the costume of a musketeer or a cavalier. That's the standard fashion for aristocrats like Sir Toby Belch. Over here you've got the Puritan, the precise Malvolio, who's like the precise Angelo, but he doesn't quite know himself, but he is very strict and very religious. And so you have extremes of wild, partying, drunken, rich guys, and maybe they're not that rich because he's using the money of Sir Andrew Aguecheek to do all of his partying. And also you've got a Puritan working class man who believes very, very much in the rules. And Sir Toby Belch at one point says to Malvolio, because you are not merry, do you think that there will be no more cakes and ale? I'll get that line correct when we read it in the scene, but it's a very interesting thing. Just because you're a miserable person, do you mean that nobody else should be able to celebrate and have a little carnival spirit? So I want you to think about those extremities. And in the middle, I've placed Viola, because she has a dual nature. She is both Viola, the girl and the boy. She's both Will and Cesario. And interestingly enough, when she's named Viola, her name is male. Viola, Volio, Will. And when she is named Cesario, her name is suggestive of female or feminine qualities. So I want you to think about that, this interesting combination. I could also place the fool, as you know, in the middle here. Okay, now, Festi, the clown, comes up to Olivia in the first big scene, and he says, "God bless thee, lady," and she says, "Take the fool away." And the clown says, "Do you not hear, fellows? Take away the lady." And Olivia says, "Go to, you're a dry fool. I'll know more of you. Besides, you grow dishonest." And the clown says, "Two faults, Madonna, that drink and good counsel will amend. Forgive the dry fool drink, then is the fool not dry. Bid the dishonest man mend himself. If he mend, he is no longer dishonest. If he cannot, let the botcher mend him. Anything that's mended is but patched. Virtue that transgresses is but patched with sin, and sin that amends is but patched with virtue." This passage is really wonderful because it has Shakespeare directly tell you what we've been talking about since Touchstone and As You Like It, that the fool, the patchwork fool, is a yin-yang amalgam. He is the person who sees that there is sin in virtuous people and virtue in sinful people. He's the person who turns the world upside down and sees the balance in things. And so Festi should be the balancing agent in this play, but he's very angry at Malvolio. Why? Well, that happens on the very next page, page 11 in your book. It says, Olivia says, "Sir, I bade them take away you." And the clown says, "Misprision in the highest degree, lady, cuculus non facit monachum." That's as much to say as I wear not motley in my brain. Good Madonna, give me leave to prove you a fool. And Olivia says, "Can you do it?" And he says, "Dexterously, good Madonna." Olivia says, "Make your proof." And he says, I must catechize you for it, Madonna. Good my mouse of virtue, answer me. And Olivia says, well, sir, for want of other idleness, I'll bide your proof. And he says, good Madonna, why mournest thou? And Olivia says, good fool, for my brother's death. I think his soul is in hell, Madonna, says the fool. I know his soul is in heaven, fool, says Olivia. And the clown answers, the more fool, Madonna, to mourn for your brother's soul being in heaven. Take away the fool, gentlemen. Well, this is such a great scene because he's using the religious teaching called catechism, and he is catechizing her, saying, if you really believe in your religion, if you really believe it, have faith, then you know your brother's in a better place. And so mourn for us down here, not for him. He's happy and he's with God, right? So that's the fool's message. And after a year, you're supposed to have moved past this. And so he's saying it's time to get out of your grief. But she's almost indicating that she wants to move out of her grief-stricken way as well, because she says, for want of other idleness, I'll bide you proof. So she's been stuck in this house for a year in black clothing and mourning. And it sounds like us right now, stuck in the house, right? And she is trying to find a way to get out again. Because she probably thinks it's right, but she doesn't want anybody to think she's doing anything morally objectionable. Then Malvolio intrudes. This is the dark Puritan fellow that I mentioned before, and he's also social climbing. He's determined to keep Olivia in darkness and mourning because that works in his advantage, and maybe he can marry Olivia. I think he might be planning that, and that's revealed later in the play, that I think he thinks he is trying to marry up in station to become a lord with Lady Olivia. And so she says, what think you of this fool, Malvolio? Doth he not mend? And Malvolio says, yes, and shall do till the pangs of death shake him. Infirmity that decays the wise doth ever make the better fool. And the clown says, God send you, sir, a speedy infirmity, for the better increasing your folly. Sir Toby will be sworn that I am no fox, but he will not pass his word for 2 pence that you are no fool. And Olivia says, how say you to that, Malvolio? So Olivia's playing the clown against the Puritan. And Malvolio says, I marvel your ladyship takes delight in such a barren rascal. I saw him put down the other day with an ordinary fool that has no more brain than a stone. Look you, now, he's out of his guard already. Unless you laugh and minister occasion to him, he is gagged. I protest, I take these wise men that crow so at these set kind of fools no better than the fools zanies. No, the clown doesn't answer Malvolio because Malvolio has insulted him, called him stupid, and said that he's gagged if he doesn't really have anything wise to say. And this sets up everything in the play. The clown will say the whirligig of time has come around for Malvolio at the end, after Malvolio has suffered and been tortured in his famous prison scene. Why does Malvolio go through all of this hell? Well, that's all because he is the buzzkill. He's the guy who bangs on the floor and says, turn your stereo down. And Sir Toby and Maria, the woman that Sir Toby is romantically involved with, and Sir Andrew Aguecheek and Fabian, a gamester boy, and Feste all set about working on tricking Malvolio into believing that Lady Olivia is in love with him. That sets up the great letter scene. The great letter scene is a little further in the play, and it has the famous lines, and I'm just going to say 1 or 2 more things real quick. The famous lines, which some are born great, some achieve greatness, and some have greatness thrust upon them. What happens in this scene is that Malvolio is walking in the garden, and he sees a forged letter on the ground. And it looks like it's in Lady Olivia's hand, and it almost looks like it's made out and addressed to him. Well, he opens the letter. It's not really addressed to him. It just has the letters M-O-A-I on the front. But he says, oh, those letters are my name, so maybe it's to me. So he opens it, and then he sees a message, which isn't directly addressed to him either. And the message says, you should make yourself into a lover for me, and you should dress in ridiculous clothes. The letter advises him to wear yellow cross-gartered stockings, and also to parade about and be rude to Sir Toby and all of Lady Olivia's kinsmen. Gee whiz, this idea that he's going to social climb by being rude to all of his superiors and by making advances upon Lady Olivia, who doesn't expect this, even though he's of a lower station in class, is guaranteed to get Malvolio fired from his job. And also, eventually, they claim that he is possessed by demons, and they force him into a prison. When he's forced into prison, I think we see that the play has gone too far in punishing Malvolio, or Sir Toby and Fabian and Sir Andrew and Maria have gone too far. So, so at the end of the play, Olivia tries to make amends to him and says that they have baffled you, Malvolio, and that that they've treated you too badly, and at this point, Feste says the whirligig of time brings in its revenges. You said that I was nothing but a fool, and now we find out you're a fool too. So Feste has a little bit of a cruel streak when he confronts Malvolio at the end of the play. I'm going to put up also a clip of me reading the prison scene where Feste comes to Malvolio and plays both Sir Topus the curate, and also he plays himself, Feste, and he talks like a good angel and bad angel on the shoulder of Malvolio, who's in the dark and can't see anything, and he's being tortured, down there in the prison like a madman. At the end, he comes out and he says, "I'll be revenged on the whole pack of you." That's an interesting thought, because the Puritans actually took their revenge on all of England about 20 years or 30 years after Shakespeare's death, and they took over England, the working class Puritans. So maybe Shakespeare realized if you treat people like this badly long enough, eventually they rise to power. Have a good one. Thank you, and I'll see you soon.